So Monroe's tapes were part of it, and I was doing them a lot, and I was having some amazing results. Well, one night, I guess I had an appointment with a deity that I didn't know about. But that's the sense that I got as I flew out over the water out here. I wanted to go under the bridge. And that was the reason why it was going to be my first venture, was to go under that bridge and see if the catfish down there are as big as all these fishermen around here say they are. Big as Volkswagens. Just for something to do. I don't want to go into people's houses and astrally go through the painting drawers. I'm not like that. All I want to do is go out and experience this, you know. I have completely innocent intentions, you know. So I get up, and as I'm getting up, I'm being drawn even higher. And I get pulled up to a big circle of faces. And I see them all, and they're all smiling. They're all happy to see me. And they're all like, man, you are going to be surprised. And I'm reading what their faces are saying. I still see one to this day. The one that was right across from me. And I looked around and thought, what is going on here? Now, this is over the strait, which I found out later, was the sacred burial ground of the ancestors for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. So this is literally a doorway to home, to the other side. And that's why they buried them there. Okay? They knew this. They knew about this vortex. The same way that the people from Sedona, what we call Sedona, Arizona, knew about their vortex. Mm-hmm. And if you punch in a vortex map, you'll see the Bay Area has one. They don't show you exactly where. It's right there. How do I know?
I'll post a link in the sidebar, folks.
The next thing that occurred was out of, I would say nowhere, but in the direction of the east, mm-hmm. a light beam came down and literally hit me. And it exploded with light. And at that moment, right after that, I woke up in bed. And I knew I was astrally projecting because this experience was so real. This wasn't a dream. This was overwhelming. So I wake up and I tell the lady I live with, I think I just had astral sex or something. It was crazy. I was out of body. I was flying over the strait, and I saw these people, and bam! All of a sudden I had union with this divine female spirit. This divine spirit. It was amazing. And then I started thinking, no, wait a minute, you got the wrong definition, dude. That is not what that was. That was some sort of union. That was interesting. So I thought about it for a while. I thought about her for a long time.
I bet.
That was like no other union I ever had, and I've had lots of different unions. And I thought, wow, what was that all about? Well, I was reading palms at a fair one time, mm-hmm. and we started talking about some of the crazy things in this area. And I said, oh, I have one for you. Actually, let me get to this first. So about a week later, I was at the post office, and there was a lady who had a stack of rare books going out, and she said, I'm sorry, but I got to do this. So I said, that's fine, I'll just wait. She goes, but they're going to take care of all the work, so we can just stand here and talk. I said, well, stick out your palm. See what your future brings. I'll tell you what your past has brought, and I'll tell you that you can create your future. But let's see if I'm correct about that assumption, if I can kind of nail what your past was like. And we did that. And she was like, whoa, that's pretty wild. But it's all written in there. Even the Christians can look up in the Old Testament, Job 37:7. It says, all works are written in your hands so that you will know what your work is. Okay? She said, really, you're a palmist. This is really something. She goes, do you know about the vortex here? And I looked at her and I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And she goes, well, we're not the only ones. So that's when I knew that this was a real, real experience. And then I was at a fair reading palms, and a lady came up to me who is now a friend. We both went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute together to develop our abilities, mm-hmm. at least try to define them. I'm an empath and a healer and a channel, and, you know, everybody has their own psychic categories of what gifts they employ, you know.
Yeah.
Some people are right-handed, some people are left-handed. Some people have the left-hand path, some people have the right-hand path. Point is,
some of us are ambidextrous.
So when I told her the story about the union and the vortex here, she said, and I said, you live very close to it. She said, who do you think it was? And I said, you know, it's funny you ask that because since all this time, I think I have come up with a definition. I think it was ISIS. I really think that was the identity of this entity. And she said, oh, well, don't you know? Isis is the one that picks the angels. And I looked at her and said, that reminded me of a story.
I did not know that.
And my mother, when I was 4 years old, had me sit on her lap, and she was adoring me, which, like I say, always didn't happen often.
No, it did not.
And she was pretty tough love kind of individual from a tough place in New Jersey, and that's how she knew to raise a child. It was the back of your hand, and it had results. Here I am today.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of friends along the way, but somehow I'm still alive, which I will tell you about my first experience with this woman when I was still in the womb. But for now, my mother was sitting there telling me how much she adored me and how adorable I was. And she said, I'm going to tell you something. I was in a car accident when I was pregnant with you. And she said the car went off the road and into a ditch, and water was filling in the car. And I prayed, and I said, if anything happened to this child, she said, because she hit the steering wheel really hard, please, please do me a favor. Send me an angel. Now, I've read a lot about this since, and know even more now. But 16, 17 years later, I was in Florida, 1,200 miles away from where that statement was declared. She said to me, she said, I asked for an angel. And she goes, you know what, I got one. And that's what she told me at 4 years old. Now, I'm about 21 or 22, and I'm in Florida, and I'm sitting in a Pentecostal church, the first time I ever remember one of those, and the girl that's with me is telling me that the lady over here is a real gifted psychic. She's really the healer here at this church. And not long after that, the lady
Pentecostals
stood
believe
up.
in psychic?
Well, this girl did because she had her own abilities, the one I was sitting with.
Oh.
So she knew that it's a gift from God. Don't get me wrong. It's a gift from God. It's one of the gifts of charism, gifts of spirit. But she knew how to define it correctly. Basically, this person is a psychic healer. So the lady stood up, and she said, I'd like to interrupt here. She said, everyone, I'd like you to take a look at an angel. This here is an angel. He gave up his place to be down here with us. And I started looking around, and I realized she's pointing at me. And she got closer, and she said, your mama asked for an angel, and she got one. And that made me think back to the time that my mother told me that. As I studied and went through life and was guided into different studies, I came across Drumvalo Melchizedek's stuff. And his story was that he had a walk-in later in life. And it's a long story, but if you study The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Parts 1 and Part 2, start with Part 1.
Link in sidebar.
Okay? And you'll see that we are an amazing bundle of possibilities. And in fact, that's what this whole place is, according to quantum physics and our understanding of that level of measurement of the universe, which is, it's nothing but probabilities. And we are the ones determining those possibilities. We're the ones actually creating it. If someone owns your consciousness and keeps you locked in your house in a state of fear, then they're the ones creating with your consciousness. And your subconscious belief systems just basically create your day. And usually it's out of habit. It makes it easy for it, and it makes it easy for you. You have to do very little thinking. And in fact, here's what gets better. Once you get beyond the point and you start mastering your subconscious self, you start to see things like, well, weight gain is actually my way of hanging on to emotions.
And which is true. I actually have a lot of emotions from my past that I hang on to.
Well, you are an
empath.
You are an empath. And the one thing you haven't learned is the exercise for dumping out this energy. And it's a slow process. It's not something that happens overnight. But if you ever read the book by Kevin Trudeau, called The Weight Loss Cure, it's not only a fascinating story, but I lost 60 pounds because of it 2 years ago, and it's still off of me. Not like most people who lose weight and it comes back. It all has to do with switching the hypothalamus and re-regulating your metabolism to produce functionally rather than irrefunctionally.
Trudeau is.
Secrets and health cures they don't want you to know about.
Yeah, he's done a lot of he's done a lot of books and videos about that stuff.
Yeah, he has. In fact, I didn't get his newsletter or anything. I just got that book, and me and 2 other people both lost about 60 pounds each in a very short period of time. But the most amazing part,
not a plug, honest.
It's not a diet. It's called the protocol. It is a way of life. And you have to understand that, first of all, when you buy diet food, it has been purposely altered to irregulate your metabolism so that you gain weight. Why do they want you to gain weight? So you'll be sick. Why do they want you to be sick? Because the same people who own the diet and exercise companies own the medical industry.
And then that way, when you're sick, you'll be easier to control.
When you do this, you realize that there is something to these things they don't want us to know about. As if, for instance, aspartame.